This is AutoSave, the podcast that is a book club for gamers. We are over halfway through our run in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth as we reach Chapter 9, The Planet Stirs. In this episode, we try to sleuth out who might be a double agent, what is happening to Cloud, and give our opinion on who the best Final Fantasy Cid is. You'll have to listen to find out who we picked. Hello and welcome to AutoSave. My name is Nick Andrade, and I'm here, as always, with my co-hosts Camille Salazar-Hadaway and Cam. We are recording in the afternoon, and so I am feeling it.
No. This is why we usually don't do these records, because you feel it too much, Nick.
There's like we've done a couple nighttime records lately, and I caught myself yawning a couple times.
What? Am I boring you?
No, you're not boring me, but just sometimes I'm like, oh my god, am I yawning? But I'm into what we're doing.
You're like tired from the day.
Yes, but now I have a coffee.
Oh no.
And
you have a coffee.
You already saw me fire up before the show. I was pretty fired up.
Nick has so much energy right now. I'm just like, do I match it? Like, as a co-host, you try to match that energy, but I think you're doing a lot for both of us. So I'm just gonna.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Well, guess what?
What?
Today's episode's Chapter 9.
Ooh.
Okay. Final Fantasy Rebirth. The Planet Stirs. Whatever that means.
The energy is stirring.
In my body, the planet life force, the Mako, is in my veins. It is flowing through me.
How do you think Mako poisoning is? Like, I know it seems like it's draining, but I feel like in real life, if this is Mako poisoning to you, Nick, maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's a good thing.
My eyes are turning green, and I'm turning into Sephiroth. What's going on?
I don't remember. You're becoming more forgetful.
Well,
who are you? Are you having an existential crisis?
Is my name Zach? Is my name Cloud?
Ooh.
Is my name Red 17, 18, 14? How many numbers is he? 13.
13. You were almost there because you're like 17, 14. Did you say 14? You were close. Yeah.
You know what's hard? Just remind me.
What?
My brother, when I was a kid, I watched him play Final Fantasy VII on the PlayStation 1. And he changed Red's nickname to Fang.
Oh, I think quite a few people did that.
I mean, it's like Rover or Spot or something. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I feel like I also had my cousin change. Yeah, I feel like I remember Fang being in there too. Huh. I wonder if it was a suggested nickname. I don't know.
It could have been, because I'm pretty sure he had like a walkthrough guide. Book,
maybe.
Which we don't get those anymore. We just Google it.
The old Googler.
Well, speaking about the past, we're going to talk about past episodes. And last week, we got to recap what happened.
Hey, hell's his kind doing here? You son of a bitch. Still living on Shinra's kill.
No, man. It ain't like that.
Our fun at the Gold Saucer was put onto halt because of an attack from a man with a gun for an arm. Barrett was the suspect, but we found out that it was actually his best friend Dine who was the culprit, and he wasn't doing so hot mentally. But after an emotional moment with Barrett, he had a hero's end protecting Barrett from gunfire, but he also died. Dio, the muscular owner of Gold Saucer, rescued the team from the Turks and creepy little man Palmer, and he also gave us a rad little six-wheeler, and we got to escape their clutches once again. Again, don't really understand the Turks thing, but I'm just glad we got rid of Palmer, because that guy is a creep bag 101.
Yeah, very, very creepy.
I
don't even want to talk about him. I don't want to say his name. I don't want to think about him.
Neither do I.
Yeah.
Cam, I have a question. How sad are you that our experience at the Gold Saucer was cut short? Because I was having fun playing games. And then they were like, actually, there's like a shooter that's killing people at the Gold Saucer.
It was actually very sad. I think what hurt me the most is seeing Tifa and Cloud and then seeing that broken by Cait Sith.
If you love that, there's going to be more of that today. Where just maybe there might be a little let down. But on this week's episode, it's off to another town. We're going to explore more of the world like we already have. And I got to give you the question of the day before we get into some gameplay. Are you ready for it? This is a big one.
I'm ready. I'm waiting. I'm like, I was like, okay. You're like, I feel like when you say it's a big one, Nick, and you have really good question of the days. So when you say it's a big one, like I get nervous. I'm like, oh no. What if
you already have good answers. When you have a question of the day that I'm not prepared for, I feel like I just sink. But you are always like ready to go with these answers.
No.
Okay, well here we go.
We'll see today.
There has been a Cid in every single Final Fantasy game except for the first one. Fun fact, by the way, that they actually, in later versions of Final Fantasy 1, made a gravestone saying, "Here lies Cid," instead of another character from the original.
That's very smart. I didn't know that.
They retconned it. That's the word, right?
Exists in all of them.
Yes. So then he is technically in all of them, but we see him in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, all of them. Okay, there's been a lot. The first one was Final Fantasy 2. There's been some memorable ones and some not so memorable ones. I want to know from you, who has been your favorite Cid in all of these series? By the way, they all have different last names most of the time.
Oh yeah, or no last name at all.
Yes.
That's a tough question. Because they're like side characters, right? Like they're not usually a main part. They've just become this thing that I think, like, is this a situation where it's like the fandom kind of made it that Cid appears, you know, like the love for Cid? I'm curious about that. But I think my favorite one would probably have to be in like 10 or 10-2, just because Cid is Riku's like dad. So like Cid is actually more closely related to the party. And also Cid has an attitude, which is kind of funny. Like, I don't know what they were thinking when they were, well, I mean, it's memorable. Like when they did the voice acting for Cid, it definitely stands out because that Cid is very bossy, also very loud. So it's like anytime Cid would appear, I'd be like, ah, I kind of like that. I like the fatherly figure Cid.
I'm just happy that you picked the one bald one.
Oh, yeah. Cid is bald.
Yes. I think he's maybe the only bald Cid.
Is he the only bald Cid?
No,
he can't be. Is he?
They're also normally older, correct?
Yeah. Cid's like older.
Some of them, like in Final Fantasy 13, Cid Reigns is like a young guy with black hair.
Yeah. But that doesn't feel like a Cid.
No,
you know,
it
like,
doesn't.
Cid has a very, you know, kind of like, I was about to say, Cid is kind of grimy. Oh, yeah. But he kind of is. Like, you always think of like that mechanic kind of a persona, like that stereotype of like, oh, you know, get your hands dirty. You know, a little bit of an attitude. And
agreed.
Cool.
And he's almost like an older character, but he's a side character, but he has enough story that you kind of know who he is and you get attached to him a little bit. But he's never like the main focal point.
Exactly. Were you a fan of Cid in 10 or 10-2?
I was.
Okay.
Because he had, again, like you said, he had like a story. Mm-hmm. Some of these guys don't have that much of a story, or they might just be like a plop in. But for me, I don't want to say this because it's the newest, but Cid from Final Fantasy 16 is... His character is one of the most flushed out of all of them.
Really?
He has...
like, I haven't played 16.
Okay, so I can't spoil anything.
No. You could spoil a little bit, but like, what is it like? So the story's a bit flushed out, but like, is he more integral to like the story?
Very integral. Like he is a huge part of the story.
Okay.
And he's like a cool guy. He smokes cigarettes. He has like this really deep voice. He's very handsome. And he has cool powers. And he's like a mentor. He's like a big mentor to the main character.
So
Clive.
he's very old.
He's not that old.
Okay.
He's just a mentor.
So he's very old.
But I get really attached to his character. So it's hard to say, like, I love Cid from Final Fantasy VII. I think he is the most notable.
Yeah, definitely.
Then you get weird ones like Sid Kramer from 8, where he just looks like a guy from a Disney Pinocchio movie.
They didn't know what they were doing. But I think those are, like, I definitely think the Final Fantasy VII Cid highwayed. So I think that's it, just because he kind of remind me. Do you remember that game Jak and Daxter?
Yes, I do.
He kind of reminds me of Jak.
That's what he does look like. Jak.
Does he? So it's like he had that, like how characters are memorable. You have Mario, the red, the blue, the overalls. You have Link, the tunic and the hat. Cid with the like yellowish blonde hair and that cigarette, right? Like in the little, he has a scarf, I think, right?
It's goggles
like,
too,
or in goggles. It's like it's very memorable if you're playing as a child. So it's like that Cid probably stands out for a lot of people.
Yes. Plus, getting real nerdy here. I specifically in Final Fantasy games love dragoons. I'm attached to the lance characters. And Cid in 7 has a lance. So,
okay.
Just saying.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you. That was, I feel, a very informative question of the day. I liked it.
It was a really good question of the day. I'm actually impressed, Nick.
Thank you. So, next episode, you have some pressure here.
Ooh. Okay. We'll see. I don't know about that.
All right. Well, if you're a little motion sick, you don't want to go to this next segment because Yuffie, she's not feeling the buggy. And the group needs to make a stop. After the break, let's get into it.
Where to now? We don't have any leads. And driving in circles, hoping to spot a black robe is
the worst idea ever!
When you don't know where life's leading, you should get yourself a reading!
Ooh.
Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow.
Your lucky food is mushrooms.
Mushrooms, eh? Mushrooms. Wait! Barrett, you mentioned something earlier about the Corel reactor, did you not? You saw a weapon there, right?
Yeah, but I don't recall telling you.
Well, it might interest you to know that just a wee drive from here, there's another rundown reactor.
Reactor? Materia! Okay, I'm good. Everybody back in the car. Let's go, go, go!
Well, couldn't hurt to check it out, I guess.
So Cait officially joins the party and mentions that there's another rundown reactor near from where they are, and there could be more weapons there as well. Maybe we'll see Sephiroth, most likely. But I gotta ask you, Cam, okay? Mm-hmm. Because Simon put something in my brain last week.
Oh, Simon, he's planting the seeds.
He is. So he mentioned seeing Cait near Reeve in a cutscene in last week's episode.
Yeah.
And now I'm wondering here, there's a point here where Barrett says he doesn't remember Cait hearing Barrett say something about a reactor, but mentions that there's a reactor nearby.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like, and we're going to find some other instances throughout this episode where Cait mentions things, and now it's getting me thinking, I feel like is he a part of Shinra or something? something.
Oh, definitely. Firstly, Nick, I was the one who mentioned that, so shame on you.
Which one?
I mentioned that on Reeves' desk was Cait
that
Sith.
you?
Yes.
Well, now I guess
But
it's
Simon also
extrapolation of
confirmed
I
it
apologize
because
I
you didn't
apologize.
see it. It's okay.
Yes.
It's okay. It's okay. Simon's a great guy, so I'll let you give Simon that point there. But yeah, I absolutely think Cait Sith is Reeve. Like, it is so obvious just in that hint. Like, maybe they were supposed to.
Oh, it's him?
I think so.
Oh, that makes so much more sense. I thought he was just a talking cat.
No, well, I mean, who
But
knew?
he's a robot.
Yeah, he's a robot. He's a robot.
Oh. Wow, you just gave me an epiphany there, Cam. Thank you.
No problem. No problem. Yeah, because you see Cait Sith on that desk, and, you know, I was just like, I feel like this is definitely Reeve, even though they try to slide that in there really, like, subtly so some people wouldn't notice. But even given what Barrett's saying, like, I don't remember telling you about that reactor. It's like, you know, Reeve knows more than, or Cait Sith knows more than he should. Which my question is, how is, if it is Reeve, how is Reeve even knowing this information?
Maybe he's been, again, following them more than we know. Not
like, maybe
just through Kate.
Do we have to go back and see, is Cait Sith in, like, the background of some of these
It's possible.
shots?
It's possible. Oh, man. Now I'm really interested to see where this story goes with him. Wow. Okay. Well, thank you for that information, and
No
I
problem.
apologize for saying that it was Simon who mentioned that.
It's okay. He's very convincing.
You also get to use the buggy while you're in the Corral Desert, by the way, here. So those pesky places that you couldn't get around before, the water where there's the branches that you couldn't get through, you can now. So there are certain side quests, hint, the King Tonberry side quest is really cool, that you can do now. So make sure to do that. But for us in the main story, it's on to finding a jungle, which should be pretty easy because we're in the middle of a desert. And once we see a jungle in the distance, and we get there, Cloud feels like he's been there before.
He starts having memories. That's like his thing. It's like, oh.
I'm starting to get sick of it. Are you?
I mean, I'm just like, at this point, can someone just talk to Cloud? Like, you're telling me no one asked if he needs like an ibuprofen. Like, no one is concerned about these constant headaches. No, it's like, maybe you should see a doctor. That's what I'm more annoyed at.
Well, he did see a doctor, and he didn't want to have any treatment.
That's true.
Well, we are now in the Gongaga region. I'll say that again, Gongaga. It's very tongue-tie. We get to explore here after a long journey through the jungle of Gongaga. We can't use chocobos, by the way, or the buggy, so we have to walk the whole way, which is kind of frustrating. We finally find a village. It is the village of Gongaga, and we meet a new character here, Cisne, who, while we meet her, mistakes Cloud for someone else. Is that someone else Zach? Maybe.
I didn't think about that when I was here. I was like, did her, like, Cloud used to date her or something? Like, because, you know, you can't trust Cloud's memory.
Yes.
And like he said, it does seem like he felt like he's been here before. So I'm just like, oh, I wonder if he's like interacted with her before. But then, you know, she was kind of like, oh, nothing.
Well, the story with her, because I looked it up, because as soon as I saw her, it was like love at first sight. I was very attracted to Cisne. So I'm like, was she regular?
Who is she? I gotta know.
Yes. So she wasn't an original character in Final Fantasy VII. However, she was in Crisis Core, and she was a Turk. And this is a prequel, so the internet, whoever, if you haven't played yet, you're kind of wondering why she is here in this village rather than what happened to her being a Turk. So that was interesting for me. That's the only little tidbit I found just because I found her attractive. All right, I'll admit it.
And if she was a Turk before, maybe she you know, came across Cloud at one point.
Right, so maybe that's why that he's familiar.
That's what I was thinking of at this
Good
point. Yeah.
Also, speaking of the Cait stuff, does Cisne know Cait? Because he shishes her at one point.
Yes.
And
the thing is, if Cait is Reeve, which we saw Cait again on Reeve's desk.
Oh yeah, and then She was a Turk.
Exactly, right?
Wow. These are all things I'm just finding out as we talk.
The more you know.
Okay,
now
so
you know.
they
Yeah.
definitely know each other.
Definitely.
Wow. Okay.
And I love it. I wouldn't have picked any of this up before until Simon brought it up. God dang it.
No, he just...
Simon's been on one podcast. I've been here for many. No, we got to get Simon back, though.
We do, yes. we
He
do.
honestly did open our eyes to so many things. And even like, because he has that dev experience, it's really great to get his reaction. I want to get him back in the series as well. As
We should.
See.
So it's up to the memorial after we talk to Cisne, and we learn about the reactor accident. 3 years ago, there was a failure, and it blew up, killed a bunch of people. Shinra didn't help fix the reactor before it blew up, which is the reason why it did, but they sent a memorial instead, and Barrett was kind of unhappy about this because they trashed Mount Corral, but in Gongaga, they actually like pretended to be sorry about it.
Well, I think they were like, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't, if our scheme is to work and we know that these reactors are going to blow up anyways, maybe we don't have to go in these villages and kill people to hush them. Maybe we just act like it's an accident as well. Like, I don't this reasoning doesn't seem like Shinra was really on the path of like how to deal with these situations when it came up. They're just like, you know what, let's change up our minds all the time.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, then why didn't you just leave the people of Coral?
Definitely a PR nightmare.
Yeah.
Cisne says the group can stay at her place to get some rest, and that is your chance to explore the village. While you are exploring, you can also talk to each of your party members. You can get maybe some relationship status up with a few of them, so make sure you do that. But while you are exploring, you see Aerith enter a house with some people, and that gets Cloud a little curious, so he follows her.
Our son just up and left one day, determined to chase his dreams. At first, he wrote us all the time, but...
When I first saw you, I thought, maybe this is the girl he was always talking about. Sorry if I made you feel uncomfortable.
I doubt I was the only woman in his life. Charming guy like Zach.
Wherever he is, I hope he's enjoying himself at least. They do say no news is good news, right?
They sure do.
Say, if you do happen to see Zach, would you tell him that we miss him and to please get in touch?
Of course I will. You remember me telling you about Zach, right? At the playground? How he was my first love?
Yeah.
This is where he grew up. And now that I'm here, it's a lot. So when I saw someone who looked like him, I don't know, I had to say something. Didn't even occur to me to think how they would feel about it. Pretty selfish, huh? Waltzing in there, stirring up memories.
You're too hard on yourself. Bet it was good for them to get it all out.
I hope you're right.
So, this Zach guy, you still like him?
Wow. You went there, huh? Maybe. He's never given me a reason not to.
Okay. Deep breath. I saw a look on your face, but it seemed it was a pretty heavy cutscene there in terms of narratives of this game.
Yeah, it was pretty intense, like to hear firstly that like Aerith keeps her own secrets. I think like that's one thing that like we have to realize as well. Like, and I think she's doing it because she may not want to bother anyone else in the party with her love affairs. But it's sweet to see that Aerith is still thinking of Zack, because we knew she was referring to Zack in Remake when her and Cloud were at like in that playground after they escaped the graveyard or something like that. But so it's great that like she actually visited Zack's parents. It's also the first time that Zack's parents is meeting Aerith, which is interesting, because I've always had the perception that like they've known each other for like they've been dating for a while.
Yeah, but that wasn't the case.
But I guess not, or maybe like Zack just didn't tell his parents, like they weren't like, you know, so that was interesting.
Yeah.
But or maybe that's just how kids these are. Yeah, kids are these days, you know. But then also like to hear her relationship with Tifa, right? Now we know how close she is with Tifa. We heard her talk about wanting to talk to Tifa about boys, and she confided in Tifa about Zack. So Tifa's very familiar with the Zack situation because of Aerith letting her know the story. And then the thing is, Cloud is a hole. Like,
yeah, he
what?
is.
What was that response? And like, what is interesting to me about all of this is like when you're playing through the game the first time around, I guess I never really saw that like Cloud may like both of them. Like, because Cloud was just kind of like very moody when you look back on it. But yeah, I guess like Cloud could like both of them, but like here you're actually seeing those conflicting emotions with Cloud, where he's like just up front ask like Aerith, like, are you dating him? Like, do you still like him? Like, what's going on? Like, you know, we're getting those undertones of like, actually he's very interested in Aerith, right? Like, and where I don't know, maybe that was just me as a kid not really putting two and two together because I didn't understand that too much. But yeah, it was just interesting to see. And Tifa always appears at that time. It's always like the love triangle right there.
Cloud, whenever he has a serious conversation with people, I want to gouge my eyes out because he's just like, yeah, I guess. Like, he's just so...
Like, is he a suitable bachelor? Like, yeah, he may be cute, but is he actually a nice guy?
It almost seems like he has no personality at the time when he talks about something that's emotional. He can't register that whatsoever. And even his voice gets weird.
Yeah.
But, so we saw that, again, you can see he's jealous with Aerith, but there's a weird scene at the end there when he's going to leave. He kind of eyes Tifa and then says, like, I'll talk to her next time, or whatever it is. Yeah. Or it seemed like it anyway. And it was just like, okay, what's going on here? Who do you like? Is it just for me to decide as the player?
Yeah. And I think that's what's so interesting, because I feel like they are trying to put it in the player's hands and not have Cloud be so open, although they do need to at times for like narrative purposes. But I feel like it's so interesting how they have to write Cloud's lines, like the developers, because they have to keep it ambiguous but then also move the story forward. So it's very interesting like how they do that, and sometimes it does come off like a little bit like too cold and confusing, but then also sometimes it's like just really well done. I think this time it was a little too cold though.
There was a point too in this cutscene where he mentions that Zack is probably dead, but when he says the word dead, he gets the static. And I know we've seen this pattern constantly when it comes to canon, but I think this is for me like the point of confirmation that anytime something canonical, I think it is.
Yeah, canonical.
But anytime that happens specifically, that's when he gets the static. So it's got to tell it's trying to tell us like, okay, this is.
Well, yeah, it's telling us something. And like for me, I was like, I wasn't thinking necessarily that like this is canon, but I was thinking like this may be that Zack's actually alive. Like it's like maybe alive here as well. Like that's kind of more that I was thinking, because we've been talking about, okay, there's different timelines in a sense, or different universes, but it seems like in this one, maybe Zack isn't dead. Like even in Cloud's universe, or somehow they're linked.
Interesting. Okay, I took it as the opposite. But that's...
So you think it's because he's supposed to die in what the previous game or the original game?
No, I think it's he is dead in this world.
Yeah.
But because he's alive in other worlds and everything's clashing with the Whispers, I think that's why.
See, but then I was like, I don't know, because then wouldn't Aerith also have static? That's what I was thinking at this point. Like, wouldn't Aerith also have static if there was another Aerith that should be dead?
But maybe it's only with Cloud because of the Mako poisoning. But then she also has superpowers because she's an ancient. So not superpowers, but she's an ancient. So maybe she does. But she knows things that we don't know.
Exactly.
So,
or maybe it's a loophole.
Yeah.
We still don't know who she's talking to.
So many questions.
So many questions.
More and more just building up. So let's move on. Cloud, of course, goes to get some rest for the 8th millionth time. Again, like you talked about with giving someone some ibuprofen or something like that. Like Buddy has gone to rest almost every time in this game and the last game, and no one ever says anything. They're always just like, yeah, Cloud, go get some rest. Like literally in Gold Saucer, it was the same thing. He went to the hotel because he had to get rest.
Exactly.
Now he's got to get rest again.
Yeah, it's like, this doesn't make sense. This is just like, when you're sick as a kid and your mom's like, oh, you just need to eat more vegetables or something like that, right? It's like, that's the situation. You just need to rest, Cloud, and you'll be better.
Nobody cares because it always happens to them. So they're just like, whatever. After you get some rest, you hear and are woken up by a mysterious roar as Yuffie comes running into the room, and it sounds like a weapon. Cissnei says that they tried to investigate what that roar was. They had heard it previously, but there was Whispers who stopped her. So, interesting. We actually haven't seen really Whispers throughout this game yet. This is the first time hearing about it again.
Nick, as soon as I heard that, I was like, it's about to go down.
Yeah.
We are getting some story development, because whenever they appear, we get a good glimpse about we get a question answered. So I'm just like, what question are we going to get answered this time?
I think we're in for something. Cloud, Barrett, Red, and Cait Sith go to investigate while the ladies are left behind. Once you get to the reactor, Sephiroth shows up quickly in Cloud's head and says, "Come, it's time." And you see Whispers, though they look different. They are now the black cloak-looking Whispers, and they have a weird purple glow inside their hoods.
It kind of seems like they're like, this is weird because Whispers are obviously not of this world or naturally occurring, but like it seems like kind of manufactured in a sense. Like these Whispers are not the ones that we've seen before. They're not the ones that are actually the keepers of fate. They are imposters kind of thing.
I got that sense as well. It flips to a cutscene after that of our good friend Scarlet, who is prepping a giant mech. So we'll probably have to fight that later. After that, make your way through the reactor with some fun mechanics along the way until you reach a shining bright light.
You seeing this? Since the plant went offline, the whole place has been filling up with Mako. Which means the planet ain't done. We were right to take out those reactors.
I wouldn't go that far.
Let's get to work. Too much Mako here.
Oh no! That's a Ravnica!
Shit, how did they... You told them, didn't you?
What? It wasn't me! I swear!
Mako attracts all kinds, gnats and vermin included.
Scarlet!
Thank goodness I had the foresight to bring some exterminators.
So, once again here, Cait Sith is defending Shinra. So,
I
again,
don't trust him. I don't trust him. I mean, it's hard not to trust a anime looking cat that has these cute meowing quirks, but I don't trust Cait.
No.
It wouldn't be wise to trust Cait. It's like too convenient, too coincidental.
Well, Cait is the least of our problems right now. What we see here in this cutscene, the reactor core is there in some water, and then there is a hell of a lot of whispers circling around. We know that this definitely means it's an important area. Scarlet is ready to mess with us, and after a few tame enemies that she sends at us, she sends Specimen H1024, and it's boss fight time for the first time in this chapter. Cam, how did you deal with this boss?
So I actually didn't mind this one. Just because, again, it's like I am more interested in like facing off against the creatures and the experiments more than the mechs. But I think it's manageable. I actually I think after like the third chapter, I was like, okay, I got to do all the side missions and level up. I got it. This
you were
is gonna be
struggling?
serious. Well, it was like I was struggling up until that point. I think we talked about it on the show. And then I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to do all the side missions. So it was good. It wasn't too bad. There's, 2 phases. You can take them out, use some lightning. You're good.
Memento Mori is the most devastating attack. The problem I have with these is when they choose the party for you. My normal party, I like to play and dabble, but my normal party is Cloud, Barret, and Aerith.
Red? Oh.
No, Aerith is the best spellcaster in my mind in terms of curing, and then Barrett's range attack, and then Cloud, I just use Cloud. So
okay,
that's always the best. So when it deviates, I gotta like change up my materia. No one has as much MP as Aerith does, so I'm struggling to heal. And then I gotta make sure, like, did I put my auto cure materia on them as well? And if I forget, then like I might die because I'm not paying attention as much. So this boss isn't that hard, but if you're always running the same party like I am, it can get a little difficult.
Yeah, you got to balance it out, Nick.
Yes, I do. I'm sorry. Well, I just have a preference for those 3 characters. After you beat the Specimen, Cloud has more visions of Sephiroth. Scarlet shows up in her giant mech and shoots a laser at the group, but you don't see what happens because it goes back to the ladies in Gongaga, who instantly want to rescue them after they hear a giant kaboom. And so now it is time to head over to the reactor again, but this time with chocobos. And these Gongaga jungle chocobos can jump giant mushrooms, which I really like this mechanic.
This is actually really fun and cute. And then we also get the grappling gun as well, which is cool. It's because they are rehashing like environment we just went through, which is very annoying to me sometimes in games. Mm-hmm. But adding this like jumping on mushrooms, trampolining, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, it's different. It's the same, but it's different.
Yeah.
Once the group makes a similar journey through the reactor.
Hey, it's that head! You all right?
The 3 of us are!
Cloud!
There's no escape. Who did that?
Hey, Scarlet! Remember this Wutaian savage? She's coming for your Wrigley High! Why not take us on? We'll go easy on you. Promise.
My sweet child. Mocking a person's physical appearance is tacky and beneath me. Instead, I'll simply carve you all into pieces bit by bit. Till you beg for death.
Hey, it's the Hag! That was my favorite
Wrinkly
line.
Hag. Honestly, like, Yuvi has some of the best lines.
She does. She's like the comedic relief more than anyone else.
Well, I think they used to be Barret. And then it
yes.
was like kind of like a dry humor kind of thing. And Yuffie just brings very like comedic, over the top energy, which it's like that again just shows her innocence because she's young, the youngest party member. So yeah.
Speaking of energy, this is just a pure action adventure right now. Just boss after boss fight, switching parties. Everything is happening. But now it's Tifa, Aerith, and Yuffie's turn against Scarlet. And her mech, the Crimson Mark II. This was, to me, one of the most difficult boss fights up until this point. I don't know if you feel the same way.
Oh, absolutely. And I hate that it's a mech too. Like I was just like, oh my gosh, another mech. And I love mechs, but it's just like something about fighting them in this game. I'm just like, they're so hard.
I think it's
they're so hard to fight.
The physical damage is less than most enemies, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I use the most. I don't use magic as much. I just use mostly cures.
Yeah.
So I always have difficulty with mechs because they don't take physical damage.
That's probably what it is, because for me, it's like I do also mostly use physical and also Barrett because of the range.
Yep.
So when it switched to this party, I was kind of like, but Tifa's usually like Tifa's also very strong for me. Because I try to keep it as balanced, but Aerith is probably my weakest.
Okay.
So I was just like, man, no. I think what's the worst, it's like I just don't know how to utilize Aerith in these fights. Like,
really?
Yes, I use her soul drain, like if she's getting knocked down, because she'll usually lose the most health out of the party.
Yeah.
But then it's just like for her attacks, like I'm just kind of like, okay, I'm just going Tifa and Yuffie.
I think, in general, Aerith is just really hard to attack with. I specifically try to use her healing only. And the only way I'm attacking is just for a quick boost, so I can get one of the synergy abilities off.
Yeah.
With the duo, so it's a pain in the ass. I completely agree with that. But that's why I use her specifically with healing. I found myself a lot of times in red health or dying, and I think I use like 5 or 6 Phoenix. Wait, sorry, what are they called?
The Phoenix Downs?
Phoenix Down. I was gonna say Phoenix Feather.
They have the Phoenix, like, is it Ether or Echo or something like that as well? That gives you a little bit of a boost of health.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Okay. So I felt like I was constantly doing that because, again, it's got a lot of HP. It doesn't take a lot of damage. The best you can do is, you like you said, focus on Tifa and Yuffie. And then even Tifa gets you to stagger quickly. That's the only way.
But that's the thing. That is the only way, and that's why I love having Tifa in these fights. Because like you just do a little hits here, and then she'll be able to stagger. And then I usually switch to I use red instead of Aerith. But that is not the case here. So you switch into Yuffie in this one.
They chose for you.
They chose for me.
Well, after you defeat Scarlet's mech, the weapon shows up, and she obviously wants to harvest it, Scarlet, because you defeat her, but you don't really defeat her. Tifa gets split up from Yuffie and Aerith, and then gets into some hot water with Scarlet until Cloud shows up to the rescue. But Cam, the only problem, Sephiroth gets into his head, and he almost becomes possessed by Sephiroth.
Yeah,
at this point,
so cool.
You see him decimate the Sinra shoulders, but like every movement of him is just pure Sephiroth.
Yeah, and I found that's why this was so cool, because I was just like, oh no, oh wow, that's Sephiroth, and like he's vicious, like Cloud is vicious. Plus, it's also different seeing him with the Buster Sword doing this, because with Sephiroth, he has his sword is thinner, so it looks like much smoother and fluid. But it's like also funny because Cloud's doing these moves, Sephiroth's moves, with the Buster Sword, which is a little bit clunky. But this is crazy. I love this moment.
The crazy part for me was, or the most badass was when he was dodging bullets with his head, and so cockily.
We were like, okay, all right. So, like, does that mean Sephiroth has, like, if he's calling out to Cloud, he could also take control?
It honestly, I wouldn't be surprised about that.
Yeah.
Based on everything we've seen so far in this saga. Right?
That makes sense.
Well, scary enough, it looks like even Tifa can't get a hold of Cloud in this moment.
Cloud, stop! That's enough!
It's okay. They're gone.
Cloud, don't let her fool you. She has no scars.
You have no scar.
She's not
You're not
Tifa.
Tifa. You can't be.
We've been over this. I do have a scar. I showed you, remember?
Liar.
All right, look!
Those we hate. Those we love. Those we fear. Jenova would become anyone to fool her prey.
Don't do this!
But I'm no fool.
This was tearing me to bits seeing Tifa
Yes.
struggle like this because I love her and Cloud is just on a rampage.
Well, I think this is so sad because she so much believes and loves Cloud, and it's like he obviously does feel, you know, when he's himself, feel something for Tifa. So it's like also breaking my heart because I know Cloud is not himself and he has to snap out of it at some point. And like, what is that going to do to him to find out that he pretty much swung his sword at Tifa, like tried to kill Tifa? Oh,
I don't even know where to begin with this. He doesn't believe, so Sephiroth gets in his head, doesn't believe that he has or she has a scar again, even though she showed him.
yeah.
And then again, now we're putting into question what's real and what isn't. And so Sephiroth is putting into his head that that's not the real Tifa. So again, what does that even mean? I'm not entirely sure. Do you have any guesses? Yeah.
I don't know. I honestly don't know because it's like we talked about like when Sephiroth first appeared after Tifa and Cloud or while Tifa and Cloud were about to have this conversation about that scar and what happened all those years back. And we said like, I think we both agreed like Sephiroth doesn't come off as a person that would lie necessarily.
No.
So
Yeah.
it's like he's still pushing this to Cloud, but is this the truth? And if we feel like he will not lie in this situation, how is this not Tifa? Is it that maybe Sephiroth sees this world? Because Sephiroth's also going like on a rampage. Does he see like this world or this universe is not the true one?
Mm-hmm.
So to him, no one is real in this world, but then it's like that, it's so confusing. Like, I don't know what he means by that.
Speaking of confusing, this is the part I didn't understand. Cloud says here, Jenova would fool anyone to become her prey. Now, isn't Sephiroth and Jenova on the same side? Or at least Sephiroth is trying to protect Jenova. So I am confused about that statement specifically.
Nick,
What?
you and me both. Because I was like, wait, what? Like, firstly, Sephiroth, this is Sephiroth speaking essentially,
Yes.
right? So why would he go against Jenova unless Jenova and him had a falling out, which
Well,
we don't know about. But I mean, she's dead.
Right. So
or in stasis or whatever it is.
yeah.
So it's like, or does Sephiroth now, like, just, he is no longer, because people here are changing their missions as well, as we saw with Shinra. So it's like Sephiroth now is just like, forget Jenova, it's all about Sephiroth, you know?
Yeah, that's true. And then he realized that he was being manipulated by her, like, spirit. It's possible.
Maybe.
But I don't know. I'm sure we'll find out.
He's like not truly Genova's son, right? He's made, like.
Well, no,
so
we don't know.
like,
We're not confirmed that he's made.
No, but I mean, like, it kind of hinted to that when
Yeah.
he was in Hojo's lab, when we get that flashback of, you know, when Sephiroth went crazy at the beginning of the game. So if that is that he was made, I don't see, like, there's not a close mother and son relationship, which was what was weird to me when they went to that flashback with Sephiroth. It's like, why would he all of a sudden just, like, even after all the things that he read, just side with Jenova? So, like, he must have discovered something.
Well, guess what? Hold on to your butt, because there's going to be more questions that we have no answers to as we go forward. Tifa falls into the water trying to avoid Cloud's sword strike, and while she's trying to swim back, gets swallowed by the weapon. Cloud instantly snaps back out of it and yells, "Tifa!" Because instead of swimming to help her, he just yells it out. Great job.
Adrian!
We get a cutscene in the water where it looks like Tifa is going through some sort of hallucination of her past. And then we find out that she is in the belly of the the belly of the weapon where that giant materia is. Why do you think they're showing us past visions of her and Cloud? There's specific stories from Nibelheim. It looks like Cloud is almost a loner in certain situations, but they're very much connected still. Do you have any inkling as to why these past experiences are being shown up to the audience?
I mean, when you're hearing these past experiences, it seems like Tifa doesn't even know what they are.
Yeah?
Like, she's questioning, she's like, what is this? Is this Nibelheim? It's Cloud. And it's like she doesn't, it's as if she's remembering these as well. Maybe something traumatic happened here. Like, that's what I was thinking in this moment, because it's like, it's very obviously like she's into Cloud, and if you're into someone that you knew as a kid, and she's so sure of, like, Cloud was not there all those years ago and all this stuff, she's so sure of certain things, why wouldn't she remember this? So that's interesting to me.
This kind of ties into something we'll probably bring up later, but that's a good point that you bring up.
But I did like the whole playing through the sequence, because it's not like her walking through these experiences. It's kind of like you're seeing them from afar, and it's like quick time events. So it's like you have to, like, press buttons as you go along.
And you don't have to do much either. It's not like a whole, like, long walkthrough. It kind of gets to
you
the
could
point
actually
really
sit down and, like, soak the information up.
Yeah. After these dreams, we see a giant amount of whispers, and they're fighting each other. There are light whispers and dark whispers, and we see a crazy scene of Sephiroth showing up and trying to kill the weapon.
But not if you give up. You have to want it. Fight for it. Hard as you can.
You need to get up now, Tifa. You can't die here. Too many still depend on you.
Tifa!
Come back to us, Tifa. We've got a fight to finish.
Your words can't reach him now.
No! Don't take him too!
So it seems like people in her life are trying to rally her to stay alive. It feels very much an example. I don't want to bring up Harry Potter all the time, but where Harry has a chance to either kind of give up and move on to the light or come back.
Yeah,
And that
I
almost
think
felt like it was the same way with Tifa.
Exactly. I think it's that cliche that people say, like, don't go to the light.
Yeah.
You know, you see some sort of light, and maybe people in those lights that's trying to encourage you to keep going. My thing is, like, I was a bit confused because when Sephiroth tried to kill the weapon, he stabs it, but almost stabs Tifa. Like, if Tifa didn't dodge his blade, he would have killed Tifa. So I was like, wait, is Sephiroth talking to Tifa in this moment? Like, you can't, there's no stopping him now. Like, you know, like, because he's aware that she's there.
I just came up with an epiphany as you were talking.
Yeah.
What if so what you brought up, I didn't even think about this, but was he trying to kill Tifa?
Yes, I think so.
So that just opened up a whole can of worms for me here, because we see Cloud walking in the distance like he can't be reached.
Yeah.
And is Sephiroth trying to kill Tifa because Tifa is one of the people or things that can help Cloud stay to the light?
I think so. Because, like, that was the weird thing when you're seeing all these people show up. Like, why is, like, I understand the doctor helped Tifa, like, is the reason why Tifa is still around, because he tended to her wound that would have killed her, essentially, when Sephiroth, like, burned the whole village and killed everyone in Rebirth. But, like, I'm like, wait, why is Cloud not encouraging her, right? And I think it is maybe Sephiroth as this other being, and maybe this goes with Aerith as well, has, like, some sort of, like, a telepathic connection, which we've already established. He showed up so many times, where he's able to, like, kind of get into people's heads that in these moments. So, like, I think it is like a vision of, like, you know, don't go into the light. She's seeing people that she loves. And that last part, when you're seeing Cloud, it's Sephiroth coming in and, like, talking directly to Tifa, like, oh, don't think Cloud's going to encourage you because he's gone. That's it. And I think that helps, like, Sephiroth's mission, you know, to get Cloud to walk with all of the other black cloaked characters to him, because I think he needs to detach them from their lives to make them, like, to strengthen his connection to them.
Which then makes sense with Cloud trying to kill Tifa earlier.
Exactly, right? Wow. Like, I think he's, in a sense, severs their connection before he could. And that would make sense to why Cloud or Sephiroth before, he's like, it's not time, you know? Or he's like, hey, yeah, go have fun because I'm still waiting. Yeah. I think it's because he's still trying to connect with Cloud, but he can't because of his attachments with the people he loves. Another thing.
Yep.
What happened to Red? Like, Red ain't around? Like, I mean, come on. Come on.
In what way?
Tifa doesn't think of Red as, like, one of those, like, to me in this vision, Tifa doesn't think of Red as, like, one of those close friends. I mean, I get Yuffie, she just showed up, but Red?
That's true,
Red?
Yeah. Yeah.
Red?
I guess they were just, you know, saving time. Who are the main players?
Or Marlene? Marlene?
Yeah, Marlene.
But okay.
I'm not that bad about that.
I guess they could only fit a certain amount of people in the light,
The weapon emerges out from the water, brings back Tifa. Aerith can see a vision of Tifa stuck inside the materia, and eventually the weapon spits her out. Not really spits her out, kind of like this weird glowing vapor.
They, like, raise her?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Into the air.
But anyway, she survives. It then takes us to the next day in Gongaga, and Cloud is by Tifa's bedside.
You remember how our parents used to tell us that when a person died, their spirit would cross Mount Nebo?
Yeah. We all knew it was a story to scare us out of climbing the mountain. You believed it, though.
I didn't. At least, I had my suspicions. But I buried them. I wanted it to be true so badly. I didn't want to think my mom was just gone. Plus, Emilio and the others said they'd help me find her, so up the mountain we went.
Some help they were. Running off and leaving you out there?
Not that I knew about any of that.
You don't remember?
I hit my head pretty hard when I fell off that cliff. Think it messed with my memory. Everything from around that time's a blur. I only knew what the others told me. Didn't even occur to me to question them.
What'd they tell you?
They said that you egged me on. But now I know that's not what happened at all. When the rest of them ran, you were there for me. You stayed when I needed you most. If that's not a hero, then I don't know what is.
I'm no hero. What kind of hero falls off a cliff with the person he's trying to save and pushes him into a pool of Mako? Sometimes, I don't even know who I am. I forget things everyone else remembers just fine, and know things I've got no right knowing. It's like there's different people inside of me. And the worst part is, I can't even tell where they end and I begin.
Go on.
Soldier cells degrade. I think that's what's happening to me. That I'm falling apart.
That's not going to happen to you. You saved me before. Now it's my turn.
No! God.
They were about to kiss.
They were about to kiss, and Cait Sith and Yuffie ruin it.
Ugh, classic Cait Sith.
So just like you said earlier, there's another instance where they get their romantic.
They're meant to be.
I know they are.
They are meant to be.
So Cloud doesn't know who he is. Tifa doesn't remember her past, which kind of makes sense to her seeing her visions. Maybe that helps.
Yeah.
Remember some things.
And it would also make sense too why she was so mad at Cloud before, because we realized like the story that the kids told her in the mountain that Cloud was egging her on.
Yeah.
So like someone she believed in as a kid was actually against her. That's what she was believing this whole time. And we saw from the visions or the memories about her past that Cloud was actually spying on them and making sure she was safe.
Cloud also finally confirms that he does have Mako poisoning, and that's why he thinks he is going through all of this. So that's the kind of confirmation I've been waiting for. Also makes sense why he feels like he's multiple people, because they're probably connected all to Sephiroth, which now we kind of have seen in this episode so far.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Like as soon as Cloud was like, and I feel like I'm multiple people, and he pauses.
Yeah.
And when Tifa's like, go on, I thought he would like say no, he's not gonna go on. And thank goodness he did. I was like, I swear if they did that again, I could not.
This is the most open I think he's been in a conversation, because I guess losing Tifa now, he's ready, more ready to open up, I guess.
They are meant to be, Nick. They are meant to be.
Tifa explains afterwards about the Black Whispers to the group, and that they think that the Black Cloaked Whispers are with Sephiroth, and that she thinks the White Whispers are winning the battle against the Black Whispers, which is very nice. That is the planet and the life stream. So it's nice to know that maybe there is a light at the end of this tunnel. Barrett also has a speech about the planet fighting back, and that gave me a boost with the team, that they are the reasons why that the Light Whispers are winning this battle.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's great to see, like, that they're going more into what the Whispers are. My question, because the Whispers are so similar to the Black Cloaked figures, do they become Whispers? Like Sephiroth's Whispers?
I don't know.
That's why I was like, do they become Sephiroth? And, like, maybe that's why he's like, more of them because he's not winning this fight against the live stream.
That would make sense.
Plus, it also makes sense when you think of it in like they are not the Black Cloaks are not the arbiters of fate. So again, like Sephiroth is trying to change fate, and the White Whispers are trying to keep fate intact.
Well, but that would mean Aerith would die if that's the case. So.
Well, I mean that means it's up in the air. Anyone could win the fight. Maybe there's no light at the end of this.
Yeah, we'll see. Cisne mentions going to Cosmo Canyon, which is a home of planetology, and apparently people there who agree with the points that this group is making. So we want to talk to these people. So that's where we go to next. However, we need to hire a pilot to get there. Once we put up a smoke signal near, I guess it's a plane.
A runway?
Runway, yeah, there you go. A plane runway. You see a plane come from the distance.
Bravo, sir!
Where to, folks?
Cosmo Canyon, please.
You talk? The hell kind of magic trick is this? Not that I ain't seen crazier shit on my travels. Now, how many of you got? Too many. But the old girl likes a challenge. With hazard pay, I'd say this is fair. And since I don't have much else going on, I'll be here scratching my ass till y'all pony up. Much obliged. Hop on board and sit where I tell you. Gotta make sure my baby's balanced just so. Hold on tight now, you hear? Fall out and you're on your own.
Here we go!
Pleasure having you aboard.
It's Sid. Which all comes back to my first question of the day earlier. Thoughts on his introduction here, apart from the fact that I feel like he looks way too young and handsome.
What? Are you jelly?
No, I'm not jealous. I just expected him to be more of an older man.
That's fair. I didn't, though. I think, when I think back to the Jackson Daxter looking Sid in the original one, I didn't think he was older. I think I do like how they did the character design for Sid here. What I hated was how they put the question marks. Just tell us it's Sid.
Well, but I like it until he tells us his name. That's always been a trademark. We don't
true
until we hear their name, then it shows up. But
that's true. I'm being too hard on it.
I was hype in this scene because I've been waiting for him this whole time.
Yeah, I mean, you've been hyped for Sid.
Oh, I knew the pilot was him, so I was ready for this cutscene. Also,
I hear you.
The problem is, though, he leaves us after dropping us off at the canyon. He doesn't join our party all of a sudden, so I'm sad.
And he doesn't say the name.
Yeah, he does. He says his
name.
Yeah,
he said it's
while he's flying. He's like,
while he's flying.
Yuffie asks who he is, but that's it. That's all this jam-packed chapter. So much is going on. We still have one more cutscene that says something that I don't understand what's happening, but we'll break all that down in the next segment after the break. Take a deep breath and just digest what is this chapter 9.
I must admit, I didn't expect to find a willing participant. You are truly a model soldier, my boy. I'd hold still if I were you. We wouldn't want any complications.
No, Professor.
Since you're so committed, I'm going to give you a special treatment. One that will surely make you into a hero.
So this was the final cutscene of the chapter where Roche decides to become an experiment for Hojo.
Oh no, Roach.
I have an idea as to why he's doing this, but I want to get your opinion on why you think Roche is getting an experiment from Hojo.
Oh my god, because he idolizes Cloud. And I think like what we're finding out with Cloud, I think, you know, him being a former soldier, we know that these soldiers are becoming these cloaked figures, and we know that there's Mako poisoning. I'm pretty sure Hojo has a hand in all of that. So I think, you know, Roach being a part of Shinra probably knows a little bit more than even we do about Cloud's relationship with Hojo and what Hojo might have done to Cloud. So I think that's why he's here, because he wants to face off against Cloud. That has been his goal. He wants to beat Cloud.
Yep.
And I think, is he going to be our mirror fight for Cloud?
Potentially.
No.
That would be
a red herring, because everyone's like thinking it's going to be Zack or something, you know, like maybe they have to face off somehow because something.
But I do agree. I think the whole point he's getting this experiment is because he wants to beat Cloud. He loves Cloud in a term of a rival, but he realizes that he's not strong enough to beat Cloud.
Exactly.
And the only way he can do this is become stronger.
Cloud's number one fan.
What exactly do you think Hojo's trying to do? He mentions something that used to take years is only going to take 18 hours. Do you have any inkling as to what that is?
I have no idea, but if it took years, that would explain where Cloud was. If Hojo really did do something to Cloud or had some hand in why he has this memory loss. Yeah. Why Cloud has been MIA for years. Which is still like that gap. What has Cloud been up to? During that however long it has been, what Tifa was asking, what was Cloud doing? I think Hojo knows the answer to that.
Ooh, okay.
And this is what he's hinting at here.
I didn't think about that. That's very deep. I hope that's what happens.
Hopefully, I have no idea.
We'll see. We'll see. Good. We have good theories on this show. I believe we do.
We theorize really well.
Lots happened in this chapter. A lot happened last chapter. Feels like they're cramming in a lot in these last few chapters. After I feel like the first few chapters really, it really breathed a little bit, and this one now they're just trying to like, oh crap, we have so much to cover. Because it's not only this, it's also like side quests where you go to Mount Corral and you go to Gongaga, you go to the canyon, and you can already unlock all these side quests, and then on top of that, heavy main story. I feel really overwhelmed at this point.
Yeah, I think it is a bit overwhelming, and I do think that has to do with the fact that they could have paced the narrative side of things a bit better, more heavier, a little bit heavier, not too heavy in the front half of the game, but just a little bit heavier in the front half of the game. I think there were some things that were redundant in like, oh, I can't tell anyone, or oh, I can't talk to anyone, or oh, Cloud, I tell people what's going on. Like, I think that could have happened like after the third time of Cloud having a headache, and we get it, you know, we get like something's wrong and we're ready to find out. But I can also understand why they might have done that, because of the side quest and the more like lights and glamour of like the things that I think Final Fantasy VII fans love, like the parade, and like a little bit of Golden Saucer. So I can understand why they did those things. But again, Nick, we're like, no way. This feels like this should have been like 3 chapters back.
I think you bring up a good point about like the parade. That chapter seems really long, fixated on the one thing. You can probably cut out all the Junon, you know, getting the soldiers, all that stuff, and then make more space to telling the story.
Well, even Lower Junon, like I feel like there is so much side missions.
Yeah.
Like I feel like they could have told more of the story in that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But
I am overwhelmed.
Yes. We kind of mentioned this before with the Dark Whispers and the Light Whispers. It seems like Sephiroth is using the Dark Whispers to change time.
Yeah.
In a way.
He's trying to, I think, change fate more than time, I think. Yeah, change fate, which would explain why the Arbiters are showing up, which then is very confusing from the end of Remake, because then why did they, well, I guess I understand why they showed up. They're impartial. They're an impartial party. They just show up whenever.
Yeah.
They're not on anyone's side. I have to keep reminding myself that.
It's true.
Because sometimes I'm like, why are you trying to stop me when I'm trying to stop him?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So makes sense, but it's just like, I really want to know what Sephiroth's doing. I really want to know more. But we did get some answers, which is good.
That's what I was going to say next is I feel like this is the first chapter, chapter 9, where we got more answers than questions. Even though there's still questions that are hovering over us, overall, we kind of learned more about Cait Sith here, the Sephiroth connection with Cloud, kind of understanding that connection, the Mako poisoning, the weird stuff with Tifa and Aerith, though I did not mention this earlier, is one of the cutscenes here at the end of this chapter. Aerith whispers something to Tifa, but we don't hear what it is.
But we're looking right at her.
Yes.
That was when we find out that Cait and also Yuffie were spying on, or listening and eavesdropping on Tifa and Cloud when they were about to kiss. And then Tifa walks out of the room, ends up talking to Aerith. Cloud is looking directly at them and could hear everyone else's conversation, could hear Tifa say whatever she said to Aerith. But that was confusing. I was like, why? Again.
It's on purpose. There is a purpose to all of these dialogues that we see, and we're like, this is strange. Is
this for us, though, as the player?
I think so, because it's a direct close-up of Aerith's face to the audience where you can't hear what she's saying.
So is this part of the story? We're not, because they are dealing with like different universes, potentially time, different fates.
Yeah.
Is this because this could give away some of the plot points later on in the game? But it's such a subtle conversation, like, and it seems like a conversation about nothing. Like, it's just like they're going about their day. Like, it goes back to you taking control of Cloud. I don't understand what could be so seriously said here, because the other time we saw this is when we were at the inn Lower Junon.
Yeah,
I think it was. And we heard her talking to someone, and Cloud was talking to her, and she said something, and we didn't know what she said.
This is why this game is trying to tell us things. It's why I love this game more than like an original Final Fantasy, because you're getting these subtle hints. They're trying something new. There's a mystery within the game that you already know, which I love. So I don't know. I'm just a big old fanboy. I just really want to know what these things are. But we probably won't get most of the answers, because this is still game number 2 of a 3-game set. All right. Anything else you want to mention before we go?
I'm just gonna say it again. Cloud and Tifa belong together.
Next week on AutoSave, grab a notebook, because we are in for a lesson in Cosmo Canyon.
This is only the beginning.
A shooting star!
Planetology is not simply the study of the cosmos and the celestial bodies that dwell in it. Rather, it is a quest to comprehend the cyclical nature of life.
But you have to find out what this lesson is next time on AutoSave. AutoSave is produced and hosted by Camille Salazar-Hadaway and myself, Nick Andrade. The show is also produced by Dylan Wilson. Gameplay and additional elements provided by Chris Seitzer. Technical production by Greg Fillion. Executive producer, Clayton Hansler. You can follow the show at AutoSave Podcast on Twitter and AutoSave Pod on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch. You can subscribe to the show wherever you're listening to it right now, and if it happens to be Apple Podcasts, kindly leave us a rating and review, but only if it's good. AutoSave is a Soda original, hosted on the Soda Podcast Network.